Alright, welcome in, Deck of the Week. We're back. I believe this should be the final one of all of my decks, of my commander decks, listed and featured and put on this show. Could be stood corrected. I might have one or two more decks up my sleeve, but as far as I know, this is all the ones from my favorite deck boxes now. Coming up on one of the final ones, Nethroi Apex of Death. It's my Mutate, one of my favorite pet decks. One I keep always kind of going back and rebuilding, trying to perfect. Could be make it a bit more broken, but I just go with what I feel and what I'm thinking. So we're gonna get into it. All right, so Nethroi Apex of Death, the Cat Nightmare Beast, 5-drop on the mana cost, and I believe that's Abzan. Correct me if I'm wrong. I always forget the triple color pairs. Past John, sorry guys. I just played drunk. Green, black, white, 2 of any color. Or you could cast it for its mutate cost, which is before we get into casting. Mutate is an alternate casting cost that some creatures from Ikoria have. You could cast it for its mutate cost only on a non-creature spell, and you could put it over or under target non-human creature you own. They mutate into a creature on top plus all abilities from under it. So any example, even if we don't have another mutate card, but let's say it's like just a non-creature spell. I want to mutate Nethroi from the command zone. We can cast his mutate cost. It won't have the commander tax, which is pretty raw. We can go on top, and they mutate into the creature on top plus all abilities from under it. We can get the creature on top plus all the abilities here, and if the creature has abilities, we'll get them too, don't worry. Or you go boom, and you'll still get the abilities. It doesn't matter, it's just they had to word it that way for language. Pretty dope, great spell. Death Touch Lifelink. 4 of any generic color, hybrid mana, which we love to see, green, white, and then 2 black as the alternative casting cost, which we're almost always going to want to cast this from command zone. We're not gonna stumbling over my words here. You're always gonna want to cast this from the command zone. You're not gonna want to really cast it for its command cost, just because even after the second or third time, it's going to be really hard to keep up with that commander tax. So you're going to get to an 8-cost card, and it's going to be like, what am I doing this for? So we have other stuff we're going to have to get to, okay? So anyways, its mutate cost is kind of a better workaround, even though it's steep. That kind of hybrid mana symbol helps us with mana fixing. And either way, at any rate, you get a Death Touch Lifelink, and my whole point of this deck is, whenever this creature mutates, return any number of target creature cards with total power 10 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So, we're all about filling the grave, getting shit blown up from our board, sacking our stuff, however we gotta do it, and then casting Nethroi at the last minute onto one of our non-human creatures, getting them all back and doing funny things. So, we're gonna break into, right away, the heavy hitters, the mutatables. Besides Nethroi himself, we're gonna need him. These are the usual suspects, the ones that I like. Auspicious Starks, and when you mutate onto a creature, the abilities stack. So let's say we have these 2 mutated. Let's just say I cast, for whatever reason, Nethroi for his commander cost. I can then mutate a mutate card on top or bottom, and both their abilities will trigger. On a later turn, since they're merged, we'll do it again. Now we got 3. You see what I'm saying? It's pretty cool. It's pretty fun. So, and I like the alternate arts they have for Ikoria, this set. I guess they're kind of comic book style art, maybe I think is what they're called. And then they also have Godzilla crossover, which I thought was pretty awesome. Who doesn't love Godzilla? King Caesar, legend. So, Auspicious Starks I like just because it's a fatty on the mutate cost, but it has, when it mutates, you could exile X permanent cards, where X is the number of times this creature is mutated. Put those permanent cards on the battlefield. Pretty much like a pseudo Cascader, okay? I like that. Majestic Oricorn's just like a standard. It's a 4-drop mutate. We're never really going to cast these for their creature costs unless we kind of figure out a way to be cheeky and get some double mutate activations going, what have you, last resorts. These are just nice when it mutates. 4 life, gives a creature vigilance. Vulpikeet Classic, when it mutates, put a +1 counter on it. This deck has a sub-theme of +1 counters, so this kind of helps as well, and then we get flying. King Caesar's Huntsmaster Liger. When he mutates, mutate other creatures you control get +X till end of turn, where X is the number of times this has mutated. So this is kind of like a theme. When this mutates Dirge Bat, we just get destroyed target creature, planeswalker, and opponent controls. This one's pretty nice because it has flash. Comes in flying, and then just we have a chump 3/3 flying in there to block with. Cub Warden's sick, and one of my favorite arts, Lifelink, when it mutates, create 2 1/1 white cat creature tokens with Lifelink. Angirius Armored Killer, who's actually Gem Razor, when it mutates, destroy target artifact or enchantment opponent controls with Breach Trample. I feel like Gem Razor honestly can go in a lot of green decks. It doesn't necessarily have to have mutate. Just because that 3 is nice, and then giving it Breach Trample is just really good utility. Okay. Insatiable Hemophage, one of my other favorite arts. Death Touch, and then each opponent loses X life, you gain X life, where X is the number of times this is mutated. Kicks off a lot more than you think. Glowstone Recluse is nice, gives a mutated creature reach, and then gives 2+1s on that creature, which are nice because when we start doubling up our +1s, that gets out of hand right away. Cavern Whisperer, again, is kind of similar to Insatiable Hemophage, where once it mutates, it's kind of popping off. It gives a creature management, which is great, but each opponent discards a card. Chittering Harvester, again, similar with those other 2 previous black-colored creature cards. Whenever this creature mutates, each opponent sacks a creature. When these 3 are kind of synergizing, you're kind of like, oh my god, this guy's got to stop. Everyone else is kind of like saying that, you know? Migratory Greathorn's great because it does get us basic land, and it does kind of pop off, does work out in the end. Necropanther, return target creature with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Boneyard Lurker, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. But I just really wanted to focus in on the mutate. I didn't want it to like go too crazy, but kind of show you who the usual suspects are that you want to try to put in this kind of for this color set. Because there's not a lot of mutate cards, so you're gonna kind of just end up using all the ones that are available for your colors. We kind of want to fill the grave, so I'm just gonna highlight real quick the cards that would fill the graveyard. Patient Naturalist is kind of the new one from Thunder Junction. I want to give it a try. Mill 3, put a land from the mill cards into your hand if you can't create a treasure token. I think that's good mana fixing either way for 3, and you get 2/3 body. Old Rutstein, he just helps us mill, and we get treasures, we get insect creatures or blood tokens that do stuff. It's really nice. Nyx Weaver's kind of the original Old Rutstein, just helps us fill our graveyard, and then we get to have the benefit of returning target card from our graveyard to our hand. Fiend Artisan is going to be cool for our mutate stuff. Kind of just a pod creature. Sack another creature, search your library for a creature with converted mana cost X or less, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Activate this ability only anytime you put a sorcery. And it gets +1 for each card in your graveyard. So even if you don't want the ability, he's going to be fat on your graveyard being filled, okay? So our creatures that fill the grave. And across all of our other spells, there's going to be cards that are going to care about trying to fill the grave. And I feel, as just a comment, I could add more cards that maybe self-mill and remove some other things, like maybe Umori or Scute Swarm, some mutatable stuff we're going to get into. But let me know in the comments, guys, if you know me. Umori the Collector I like because we get to make our creatures 1 less. It's going to affect the mutate. That's really kind of where I'm going at with him. He's a 4/5, big fat body, and does good stuff. Kind of comes in the mid-game to kind of lower our costs. And he's foil, and he's got the companion. Do your research on companion, guys. Scute Swarm is just a classic. Good mutatable card. When a land enters the battlefield under your control, you get a 1/1 green insect creature token. You control 6 or more lands. Create a token that's a copy of Scute Swarm instead. So if Scute Swarm is mutated on top of, with like, let's say Bone Lurker, this will still have the landfall, and it's still going to kick off, and we'll get a Boneyard Lurker Scute Swarm that we can mutate on top of that token. Okay, kind of goes dumb broken. Hex Drinker, same thing, kind of. Once we like mutate on and do stuff, it's gonna go dummy. But once we get protection from everything, we're not gonna be able to touch it ourselves. But this is a classic level up card. Once people kind of get what's going on with this, when you get to level 3 or 4, and you get the protection from instance, they're gonna be like, yeah, this card's gotta go. You kind of become a target, but if you can sneak it under the radar and really pump it out, good card, especially in the more mid to late game than early. But if you get it early and you can try it off and you feel like your pod's not gonna fuck you up, give it a try. Now, this is just there. The pile's kind of sorted in a way, but not in a way. Scourge of the Skyclaves is really synergizing with Nethroi. Nethroi is going to return target creatures with power 10 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. his power is Star. So you'll notice inside this creature, inside this deck, there's going to be creatures with 0 cost cards, or 0 cost power and toughness. Super low cost to entry cards. +1 sub theme going on with Ferlid, Mossborn Hydra, and Swarm Shambler. But because they have 0 as their ability or Star, when we go with Nethroi to bring 10 or less converted mana cost cards to the battle, or power cards with power 10 or less, like combined, we're starting over ourselves here. Whenever this creature mutates, return any number of target creature cards with total power 10 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, okay? 0 doesn't count, so we can get these and still get our other 10, okay? Follow me here, work with me here. And what we like about Scourge of the Skyclaves specifically, he has a weird thing where when he Scourge of the Skyclaves power and toughness are each equal to 20 minus the highest life total among players. If we have him in hand, we can get the kick ability, which makes it a little bit better. If Phil's kick, each player loses half their life rounded up. But if not, he's just going to have that weird, either be really big or really small, just body on the field. I just think it's kind of funny. I kind of always forget, maybe I'm too stoned, I always forget how it kind of works. But when we put him out on the play table, when we put him out on the table and we work it out, people are like, oh, what the hell? Especially because of the Nethroi Mutate return stuff, okay? Cards we kind of recently honestly pulled on stream and just said we have to put them in, and stuff that really kicked off the +1 theme was Legolas Master Archer from Lord of the Rings. It's kind of what made me turn the direction on this. He's non-creature himself, and we have stuff that's going to make us fight. Whenever you cast a spell that targets a creature you don't control, he deals damage equal to its power up to 1 target creature. If we're mutated on top with like even a 3 body cost and give it a +1 even, that's nice. And we get like a spell that says like fight target creature, it'll hit that Legolas because it's a target and it's going to be really cool, okay? Keep up. Another card we pulled on stream, Reluctant Role Model. Just a card that was like, it fits the +1 theme. It also is technically an Ozolith. Whenever Reluctant Role Model or another creature you control dies, if it had counters on it, put those counters on up to 1 target creature. Follow me. Even though it's in white and it's not an artifact, it's still an Ozolith. And Ozolith is pretty expensive. And it just has the survival where if it's survived at our main phase and is tapped, you get put a flying lifelink or +1 counter on it, which I think is nice. Pretty utility. From the Ixalan set, Journeys into Ixalan, I always forget the name of that, but Return to Ixalan. Cut Zeal Malamet Exemplar. Your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control, each with power greater than its base power, deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. Love it. Then Loop, Exuberant Explorer. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal any number of cards with mana value less than or equal to the number of lands you control from among them and put them onto the battlefield for less than your random order. Huge text box, but basically just works kind of well. Get an additional land, good ramp. And even if I don't care about this ability to help me get into some mutate cards, some creatures, I do like the fact that we can have a 1/4 body to mutate and give us some additional ramp. Then kind of a recent pull that is like, we gotta put it in. Tavar the Pummeler, 3-drop, 3/3. When tap another untapped creature you control, Tavar the Pummeler gains indestructible to end the turn. Tap it so we can protect him. So he'll be our end game piece. Pay 5. Creatures get +X until end of turn, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. So we have at least 1 fat creature, we can share the love and then try to end the game. Maybe hopefully give him trample. Then final 3, some +1 matter stuff. Winding Constrictor is really good, gives us an additional +1 counter. Oran Reef attacks put a +1 counter on each attacking creature with a +1 counter on it. Really good. Luminous Broodmoth, if we have stuff set up, it's going to return if it didn't have a flying counter. If it didn't have a flying counter, it will return with a flying counter on it. So I think that's really sick. So that's kind of the bulk and meat of this deck is really the creatures. Going in, we're going to see just everything else kind of fill the graveyard. So for my instance, nothing too weird, nothing too crazy. Some stuff that's funky, I guess. Grizzly Salvage, Grapple with the Past, In the Presence of Ages is just what stuff that's going to like look at the top X cards of your library and put them in your graveyard and withdraw spells, which is good because we need to fill our grave. Snakeskin Veil is good protection. Put +1 counter on target creature you control. Gains hexproof until end of turn. Low-key good protection. Despark, also good in these colors. Exile target permanent value, mana value 4 or greater. Insane. Limited to these colors only. Still don't care. Good. Mortify, destroy target creature enchantment. You need it. Yeah, have it in black, white. Or if you're playing Mardu, you gotta go for it. Unwind Remake, kind of we just drew it. Swords to Plowshares, Wannabe Cousin, destroy target creature, it's control Manifest Dread. Something I'm trying out, something we'll see. Basswood Fortification, it's a land or a +1 target creature. Love to have that. Chrome as well as a tech piece. Everyone knows it. If you don't, read the text. You done? Getting a little punky here. Mythos of Nethroi is just good because it fits the Ikoria theme, and destroy target non-land permanent is always good to have. Sorceries are kind of going to do the same thing, but some weird stuff. Ransack the lab, similar to the beginning of our instance. You want to look at the top X stuff of your library, in this case 3, then fill your graveyard with it. Good, kind of low-key, good banger card. Open the armory. We're going to have for dissection tools. Just search your library for equipment or aura, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuff. That's kind of why we have that here. Cultivates ramp. Bonded Discipline is good attack. Shenanigans. No one ever sees it coming. Tap all creatures your opponents control. Creatures you control gain life until end of turn. Good life gain. We're going to need it. Casualties of War. Kind of, again, a card we pulled on stream. I just want to like throw in the deck, see what we can do with it. Nothing like too crazy. All right, moving on. We're going to get into the artifacts, enchantments. The land's nothing too crazy, so this is kind of the end of the segment. Dissection Tools is kind of a new card that we pulled. Again, a lot of stuff, new stuff we pulled on stream, I jammed into this deck. So it's kind of like a best of stream, my favorite stuff that I thought would fit a theme. When it enters, Manifest Dread, then attach Dissection Tools to that creature. Quick creature gets +2, has Death Touch, Lifelink, sack a creature. I wanted to go for a fight theme. So I figured like some stuff in my instance sorceries don't have, and let me just check. We kind of got rid of it, but originally I wanted to go for a fight theme, and we're probably gonna try to return to it. So our creature will have Death Touch, and when we do damage, since it has Death Touch, it's gonna kill that creature. Work in progress. I'm still kind of just working around and seeing what we can do, but still the deck hits because it's mutating, it just goes big and gets crazy. Ozlith, the Shattered Spire, I wanted to put in because +1 matters. One or more +1 counters will be put on an artifact or creature control. That may +1 or put on instead. Again, kind of similar to that snake. We can put a +1 on a target artifact or creature control. And it's cycling if it's useless for us, okay? Talisman of Resilience, Talisman of Unity. Just, again, ramp. Dolmen Gate, prevent all combat damage that will be dealt to attacking creatures you control. Really nice because we need to kind of command a board state. We need to stay big, and if we're going to be swinging, might as well try to become Fogbank, if you're familiar with Fogbank. Cauldron of Eternity. A lot of words, but really, whenever a creature you control dies, put it on the bottom of your library instead. Pardon me. So yeah, put it on the bottom of your library instead. I like that because it's if we're gonna be sacking things, we're gonna get value of having our creatures instead. If they're not gonna go to the graveyard, fuck it, we're just gonna get them back in the deck. And we can pay 3, pay 2 life, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So we do have a full grave. Even though our stuff will go back in it later, we can kind of empty out the yard too to get some value. Alter Dementia, again, it's similar to Dissection Tools, has a sack and creature ability. This one's a classic because it has a mill opponent and equal to the sacrifice creature's power from the top of their library, okay? I've milled opponents out with this. I like having it. It's kind of a tech piece card for me. Scavenger's Talent, again, we pulled it on stream, had to put it in. Pretty much when we get to level 2, whenever you sack a permanent, target player mills 2 cards. Lining up with Altered Dementia. Mana Bond's just a card I had on hand. Just a card I had lying around. During your discard phase, you may choose to put all land cards from your hand into play. If you do, discard the rest of your hand. It was just something I had and I thought would be good for ramp. Sarah's Blessing, again, if we're going to have a board presence and we're going to be attacking, might as well give our creatures vigilance. Consulate Crackdown's a nice low-key tech piece. Everyone kind of forgets It's an enchantment. When it enters exile, all artifacts our opponents control till this leaves. Pretty good go wide card. Garruk's Uprising gets us draw and just gives our creatures trample for that end piece for the game, you know. Retreat to Kazandu is always good to have in any green deck, regardless if you're on a +1 theme, you know. You get 2 life and, again, distribute +1 counters. And then Sigarda's Summons and Stocking the Pantry, rounding out the final of our enchantments. Stuff we pulled on stream and just stuff I was like, got a +1 counter, gotta go in the deck. So look into that stuff on the list. Let me know how you guys feel about that. I want to thin out some of the cards that are in the instance and enchantment category for some stuff that will allow us to fight, so we can get that Death Touch juice. Our lands are nothing crazy. Bonder's Enclave's kind of nice. And then just simple, just stuff I had around the house I put together. Yeah. So that's Nethroi Apex of Death my way, the Smoke Pack's way. Hope you guys like it. That was a cool deck tech. I had a lot of fun going through this one. Long time coming. Again, should be the final one of all my commander decks. We'll see. We'll see what I have lying around. Appreciate everyone for sticking in for this one. That's it for this segment.